That's good, boys. I swear, I feel like I have tonsil stones or something. I don't know, man. But anyway, today we are going to read a bit of like stories from Reddit. So let's just get on with it and just start with the first one. So here we have our friend called Ari You Serious from 12 years ago, and he starts his story by saying, "A few summers ago, I went for a bike ride around midnight with a friend. We went. I was midnight. Like I've only walked midnight, but hey man. We went our separate ways to at the end of the evening, and I had about 2 blocks to ride back by myself. Because of construction, I had to ride on the sidewalk. But the streets were dead, but it wasn't a problem until right where I was about to turn left onto my street. There was this man walking by himself, maybe 40s, a little scruffy but not homeless. The sidewalk was narrow, and I didn't want to freak him out. So when I got about 6 feet behind him, I said, "Hey, behind you." And he turned around and gave me this super angry look. I turned down Mir Street and he started to follow me, literally screaming about how I was a effing cunt and he was going to kill me and all that. I lived right off the corner and I didn't want him to figure that out. So I decided to do another loop around the block. That's not the scary part. The part is that when I looked back around and looked down the street, I saw him standing on my damn front stoop, staring at the street like the guy knew I lived there. He saw me ride by again, but he didn't say anything. I ended up going back to the friends, but my bike got stolen from the alleyway by the house 2 days later. Damn. Edit. The guy in question was definitely was definitely not homeless. We have a large population of mentally ill in that area, unfortunately. That's sad. Downtown of a medium-sized city. So if I didn't think the sidewalk was too narrow otherwise I wouldn't have disturbed him. Half the scary part was that he looked pretty much completely normal for my area. That being said, I ended up texting my mom and she made the decision not to notify law enforcement until my bike was stolen. That's an interesting like story, to be honest. Not like the other ones that we read or anything that I've experienced so far, but definitely interesting. Especially if like you have mentally still like I've never lived in an area where like there were mentally ill people, but obviously in my hometown, like the places that I've lived before, there were people who were mentally ill. It's just that they didn't get any help. Those were those kind of people that were regarded as normal and like can do nothing to help. And the sad part is and the sad part is some of them actually were parents, had kids and everything like that. Like you'll see them in the morning. I remember like when I woke up, like this was the time when I was living alone, so I wasn't living with my parents or anything like that. I was living just alone, going to school in 12th grade. Like I woke up around 6 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. Like it was summer, so like the sun had already been out. When I woke up around that time, like I went to the shop to buy something to eat. When I went to the shop, like I was on the shop and like there was this lady screaming, holding her baby, and she was like crying, what and all this and that. She was basically explaining that her baby daddy was trying to take the child away from him, the mother-in-law, and even her mother wanted to take away her baby, and like she was just crying that she just wanted to take care of her baby and everything like that. And sometimes those mentally ill people are actually one of the most caring people that you ever find. Like they care so much about their children, but the problem is they're too mentally disturbed to be trusted. But I personally speaking, I feel like they are just loving parents who who loving parents that weren't treated right by life, and basically even family, because sometimes family doesn't even try to help. On to the next story. I had awesome parents who let me sleep in the living room on the weekend night when I was very young, because my sister was a light sleeper and I could stay up until dawn. But of course, I always end up sleeping on the couch because naked night made me tired and Nick at night. made me tired. Tired. I believe he wanted to say tired. So one night I wake up to the prickling feeling, like an instinct, just bolted into a sitting position and stared out the front window. We live in rural Georgia. We lived in rural Georgia, so you can imagine the magnitude of trees. Imperfect light cast from the moon. I see a soul hood, if that's how you spell it, of someone in this damn tree. The family dog dashes to the window and is staring into the glass. Terrified, I ran into my parents' room to try to explain to my parents that this is a strange person outside. Dad grabbed something defensive and that's outside with the dogs to beat the works of the hot date. I trembled in Mama's arms until Dad comes home and says he saw no one and to go to bed. I decided to sleep in my regular room. I fill in my sister in as to what happened. Dad is making regular runs in the house with a cup of coffee. We're all still and I finally think I can sleep. Noticed them. I noticed the man outside my window. From what I can see in the moonlight, he gives me a shoe signal and runs away. Just turns around to run a straight line away. I swear I couldn't stop crying for what felt like hours, which is kind of weird. Anyway, next story is from Can You Say Throwaway 19 from 12 years ago. My house is further back in the lot than most other houses. Is it strange? It is a strange layout as well. The sidewalk runs the length of the living room and ends at the front porch, which leads into the living room. Large windows that do not open allow great light to get into the living room, but at the cost of no privacy. The rest of my family was on vacation, and having the house to myself, I decided I could get smashed. I would get smashed. Well, not really a fan of just not a fan. Well, I passed out on the couch in the living room at about 9 when I realized I was too scared to walk back to my room. The couch is right underneath these big windows. I woke up suddenly, not knowing why. I had a severe case of the chills and I could not figure out why. I think this was the time he was like in his teenage phase, maybe. Then the banging started. It came from right above me. I did not move, but I opened my eyes and looked up at the window. Someone was standing there, pounding on the glass. Without moving, I looked at the cable box. It was about 3 in the morning. The banging continues, then it stops suddenly. But I still did not move. Suddenly, it commences again, coming from two different directions now. Someone is banging on the window and another person is banging on the front door. They kept doing it, would not go away. Finally, after about 40 minutes, they quit. It was the most terrifying event I can recall at the moment. It made me a nervous wreck after that. I called a friend the next day to see if he would come over and stay for the rest of the week. And his response was, the heck for? So that we can be better in our sleep. Thanks a lot, asshole. Thanks a lot, asshole. So basically, like the friend is not like a really good friend that will, stick up for the friend. But actually, I feel like, have you heard of like those like stories where like there's a knocking on the door, but when they check, like when they people on the hole, like they see no one, but the banging still keeps going on and on. But like the moment they open that door, it's like they invite an evil spirit in, and after the evil spirit gets in, like either it possesses the person or it possesses the house. I feel like that's one of the cases in this story. Anyway, next story is from Deleted. The guy is deleted. I was 17 and had just gotten my license. Damn, I wish I could get my license soon. Low key, I wish I can get my license. Back in high school, my friends and I had made it a mission to find abandoned houses to throw parties in. We had a few good candidates, but the mother load was this house I would pass on my home from work, or like America, I guess like you do allow underage people work, I guess. It was an undeveloped shell of a huge home with a large property in the back. I had told one of my friends about it. One day before we went to see a movie, I took him to the house. It was about dusk in summer, so I had my headlights on. I pulled into the front of the house and we were there for like 10 seconds tops before we pulled back to the main road. A minute later, this big truck pulls up behind us with its high beams on and riding our ass. My friend and I took a note of it, but paid it no mind as we headed back to the main road. At the light, I turned right, but a truck cut through the gas station at the corner and blocked us off. Blocked us off. Out of the truck comes this big hulk of a man, and my friend and I are shooting our pants. He raps on the window, and I roll it down. Now the really freak part a busy is that this is a busy road, and now there was no one inside. He asked he asked us what we were doing at the house, and I quickly lied and said we were making a U-turn. He stares at us for a few seconds, smiles, and sends us on our way. To this day, the house remains unfinished, and I'm convinced it's a drug operation of some sort. TLDR, don't go into abandoned houses, man. I feel that. Don't go. Especially as a black man. Like, I'm too black for that, to be honest. I do have a curious part, but I'm too black for that. Like, honestly speaking, I'm too black for that. Anyway, this will be the end of like the story. So, like, catch you all on the next one, boys. Peace out.